Our winter trek for 2022 is going to take us to Florida, but on the way, we stopped in Georgia.
Our friends took us to the Georgia Aquarium, which is one of, I think, the most well-known and one of the largest aquariums, I don't know, in the country, in the world.
While visiting Atlanta, we made a point of getting over to Kennesaw Mountain, which is on the outskirts of the city, to see the Kennesaw Mountain National Battlefield Park. And for those not familiar with it, this was essentially the Confederate Army's sort of last stand against General Sherman from the Union Army as he was on his march to the sea, which eventually took him through Atlanta and burned it, and it was a huge turning point in the Civil War. 2 weeks camping at Torreya State Park, about 13 miles or so from Bristol, Florida, and it was a fun way to kick off January. We're still in long sleeves, but we're not in multiple layers like we would have been in Michigan. What are we watching for?
On this trail alone, I'm watching for alligators, copperhead snakes, bears, ticks, plants that might eat you, I don't know. Florida's just out to get you, apparently. Oh, and you're supposed to also enjoy your scenery, watch your footing, and look for the birds above you, all at the same time. I mean, no big deal. I found our next rig. Come check it out. It has the 3 things that we want. It has a dedicated bed. It has a kitchen with counter space. Look at this lovely counter space. And it has a desk and an office.
Per usual, when the trekkers are anywhere near a state capitol, we try to get in and see the Capitol building, and Florida was no different. We're here in Tallahassee. While you were at Highlands Hammock for a few days, we did everything we could to check out the trail system there, which is a big part of that, obviously, with the hammock, with the big cypress trees. That's a big part of that park. Behind me is the trailhead for Gator Hook Trail in Big Cypress National Preserve. Walking into the swamp and seeing the big cypress trees and, maybe being lucky like me this morning, I'm pretty sure I heard an alligator bellow. As our winter trek through Florida continued, we ended up spending a few weeks on what they called the Treasure Coast. And then we also went and on one of our weekends, we went down to Port St. Lucie and sort of stumbled into, we weren't planning it initially, but they have a really nice botanical garden there. We figured if there was some place to go kayaking, they'd probably have kayak rentals available, and they did. Fort Pierce Inlet State Park, they actually have 2 things. There's a sister companies there. One of them does tours. You can do a guided tour with clear kayaks, which I thought would be kind of neat. And then they also rent kayaks. You can do singles or tandems. I think they even have triples there. I guess if you have a little kid and they get to sit in the middle and not really do anything, but that works if you have a small family.
Greetings from Austin, Texas, where we just completed another Capitol tour trek. The Texas State Capitol.
Summit Trail, and that takes you to, I'm gonna go up a little bit so you can see it.
Way up here.
All the way to the top of the granite dome here at Enchanted Rock.
Anybody can do it as long as you take your time.
It's about a mile total, half mile up, half mile back.
Yeah, it says 0.8 on the map, but that's really counting like from the parking lot, not actually the rock itself.
We're at Pedernales Falls State Park. It's about 9 miles east of Johnson City, Texas, where we spent the night camping at the campground and have spent a couple of days checking out some of the hiking trails and the beautiful river. In southeast Texas, along the San Antonio River, is the small town of Goliad. But when you look at its position in the history of Texas and the history of Mexico and everything that went on in the relations between the two countries, it is anything but small.
It is well known for a number of significant events, including the birthplace of a Mexican general, a major massacre, colonialization, and basically a number of different countries, including France and Spain, also trying to get a hold on their territory there. Welcome to the LBJ Ranch.
The LBJ Ranch is famous in this area for the size of it and just everything that happened here with him and the ranching. But the Texas White House, as it's known, is where they would set up shop, and he did a lot of the nation's business and the world's business here in Little Stonewall, Texas, at this ranch. And we have been working as park hosts at the Lyndon B. Johnson State Park and Historic Site in Stonewall, Texas.
Welcome to the Sauer Beckman Living History Farm at the LBJ State Park.
But we're trying to keep that legacy alive, keep the history alive, and show that to our visitors. And people can see that and say, okay, we're trying to preserve that past that they may not be able to see just driving down the highway at 70, 75 miles an hour.
We had the opportunity to attend the EAA Air Venture massive air show and
convention seminars, it's the air venture. That's really all you need to know.
We're out enjoying a little afternoon stroll on the short but nice little hiking trail here at Lighthouse County Park. It's part of the Huron County Park system in the thumb of Michigan.
The last time I stood at the door of an Airstream was at the Florida RV Super Show. And I said it was the perfect rig and asked if it could come home with us.
And I said no, because we had nothing to tow it with.
And I said we could tow it with the van.
But the reality is our road trek is not going to tow a 30-foot Airstream.
But our new one can, and look what it's towing. Our brand new Airstream Flying Cloud. Isn't she pretty?